Raish covering the endless wait for friends and family outside the hospital. Maricela Burgos has one victim's chilling final moments. But we begin with our Laura Harris anchoring our live team coverage from Orlando tonight. Laura.
Jamison, Wendy, still very, very somber out here. And what's interesting to me is we got out here about 3 o'clock this afternoon. There are still people waiting outside of this crime scene tape, just hoping that they get a little bit more information. Still state authorities, local authorities, ATF, the FBI down there, just about 4 blocks behind us where that nightclub is right now. Also happening right now inside of that nightclub, they're just trying to figure out anything else they can to get a little bit more information into what might have motivated this shooter. I want to show you some pictures, though. This is what we were getting in just a short time ago. These pictures showing that large hole that's in the side of that nightclub. Well, early this morning, the SWAT team breaking through the outside wall of the building to rescue hostages and to confront the gunman inside. Terrifying moments for people who had to live through the ordeal and watch their friends die. ABC Action News reporter Maricela Burgos here in Orlando with me right now. And Maricela, you actually spoke with a woman who held the hand of her friend who was dying in front of her.
I did, and she was extremely emotional. She actually met Stanley Almodovar III about a year ago at Pulse, and she says she cannot believe that's also the last place where she saw him alive.
I shared his last moments with him.
Daritza Velez knows she'll be scarred for the rest of her life because of what she saw at Pulse nightclub. She remembers hearing gunshots.
It felt like it had became the background to everything. Like, it felt like the gunshots were literally just part of the music.
She went to the club with a friend and quickly spotted Stanley Almodovar III when he collapsed to the ground.
He just looked at me and he told me, please don't go. Just don't leave me. And he grabbed onto me and Kyle.
She never left her friend. Despite what was happening around her, she put pressure on the wounds on his body.
I told Kyle and Stanley, I said, if we die, I love you guys.
She says Stanley dialed his mom's phone number because he wanted Daritza to call her.
And he started crying, and he was holding my hand, and I saw his eyes roll back, and he let go of my hand.
She got a police officer, and all of them loaded him into a pickup truck, but Stanley didn't make it.
I started remembering, or started realizing that we're never going to really talk to him face to face.
His family is coping. They describe him as a caring and funny man.
He was loving. When he found out that you were loving too, he would love you back. And
Daritza clicked with him after only knowing him for almost a year. He is someone she'll never forget.
I can't say that I know him like a best friend, but I can say that I was there when he was taking his last breath.
I wanted to share with you a GoFundMe page that Stanley's family set up. I spent several hours with them this afternoon. They wanted me to share that with you guys. And I also want to reference the sign back here. We are Pulse Unbreakable. Another local club here held a vigil a couple of hours ago. They said 1,400 people showed up because they wanted to show their support for the victims of this shooting. Reporting live, Maricela Burgos, ABC Action News.
And while Maricela spoke with some of the victims, friends, family of the victims, we just heard out here just within the last 2 minutes that the medical examiner's office is inside Club Pulse right now. And they're having an issue trying to get their job done because all of the cell phones keep ringing inside. As you can imagine, all of these family members still trying to figure out if one of their loved ones is among the dead. We got a chance to speak with a young man earlier today who tells us he was actually working with one of the first victims whose name was announced as one of the people who had died in that shooting. I want to show you some video of that man from earlier because we actually stopped by his Sarasota office. He's got like a travel agency and there was no one there. Well, that was because he was here in Orlando looking for his friend. He says his friend Eddie was actually at the club last night, maybe texted him 20 minutes before that shooting started. He was trying to get him to actually go to the club. Well, this morning he woke up to the news that the man who was well known in not just the LGBT community, but throughout the world for his work.
He was young and he was energetic and he had accomplished so much and he was going to accomplish so much more. And that's why I'm here tonight. We will not be afraid, and we're going to celebrate Eddie Sotomayor's life. The white ribbon is a united ribbon. It's not rainbow, it's not red, it's not black, it's not yellow. It is a representation that it's all of us.
Again, his friend's name, Eddie Sotomayor, and he was from Sarasota. On his Facebook page, he seemed like such a nice guy, such a likable guy. So many videos that so many people had been commenting on. Also happening right now inside of that club, as you can imagine, when all of this started, people just trying to take cover any place they could. Well, one young woman actually went into the restroom to hide, but while she was doing that, she was on Snapchat recording the whole thing on her cell phone. Listen to this.
She didn't really record anything. The only thing she could do was record herself. And between the 9-second video, you heard about 12 shots. So he was completely relentless of what he was doing. He didn't care what he shot, who he shot. It was really heartbreaking.
So let me tell you about where we are right now. We're on the corner of Orange Avenue and Grant Street. That's where a lot of people are gathering right now because this is the crime scene tape. You can't go past here, and there's about a 4-block radius where they have shut everything down. So the nightclub is about 4 blocks away from us. And then that tall building you see out in the distance, about 6 to 7 blocks down that way, that's the hospital. That's where many family members, friends have been waiting all day long to get some information about who may have been in that club, who may have been injured. Again, we only have 8 names confirmed, so you can imagine dozens of families still wondering, where's my family member? ABC Action News reporter Ryan Raich was at the hospital earlier today, got a chance to speak with a man from Lakeland who said he talked to us right after his son got out of surgery. Ryan?
Yeah, Laura, all day families and loved ones have been gathering right here behind me at this hospital, if not here, then just down the road at a hotel, waiting for answers from the medical staff and police. Those who have not yet been notified about their missing loved ones can only assume the worst. Tonight, raw emotion outside the Orlando hospital treating the majority of the victims from Club Paltz. Stories of survival, devastation, and so much death.
I thought the worst. But I thank God my son was one of the ones that actually made it through.
Angel Colon of Lakeland got the news early this morning that his son, with the same name from Winter Haven, survived the deadliest mass shooting in U.S. history. He was shot 3, maybe 4 times in the leg, arm, and buttocks.
Then he got shot again when the gunman came over, and he said kind of lifted up his eyes a little and then just laid back down. That's when he noticed that the girl he was holding hands with all of a sudden let his hands go. But he noticed she got shot and she didn't make it.
Colon says his son got a good look at the shooter, identified as Omar Mateen, before he opened fire.
They actually said he saw the guy in there drinking at the bar.
Eyewitness accounts are often wrong during mass chaos, but if true, it could mean Mateen went in first, then left and returned heavily armed. Multiple reports say the shooting started outside the club. Juan Torres' son was one of the lucky ones.
So he ran towards the back of the club and jumped the fence.
But like so many here leaving the hospital in tears, their pain tonight is not from the physical wounds, but the emotional ones.
He's a wreck, distraught.
And tonight, his son is waiting for news about his best friend, who wasn't quite as lucky. Now, around 5 o'clock tonight, we were told the medical staff went over to the hotel, which is just down the road, and met with the families. They went over basically who's at the hospital, who's in critical condition, who's been released from the hospital. At that point, they were all told to go home, get some sleep, and come back tomorrow at 10 a.m., and they will reassess the situation, Laura. At some point, if their loved ones are still missing, they're probably going to meet with the medical examiner. Obviously, some very anxious people out here tonight. Laura, back to you.
Ryan, just hard to believe that someone would tell you to go home and try to get some sleep, and you're trying to find out if a family member has actually lost their life. In a nightclub shooting in which the people we spoke with said it's a nice place to go. There were 320 people inside of that nightclub when all of this happened. It's hard to wrap your mind around what kind of chaos must have started when Omar Mateen busted his way through there and just started shooting. Listen to this.
You really can't describe it. I mean, you really can't, especially all the waiting waiting to find out if your son's okay. He was shot. I don't know how many times. I don't even know, if he's okay.
All right, I want you to take a look at your screen right now. We're just getting our first look at the guns he supposedly used. Authorities saying Mateen used these in the massacre. The ATF tweeting out these pictures saying he used a .223 caliber AR-type rifle and then a 9mm semi-automatic pistol. Those guns he legally purchased just within the past week. All of that happening in Port St. Lucie. That's despite him being known to law enforcement. The FBI telling us today he has been interviewed numerous times, twice in 2013, twice in 2014, for possible connections to terrorism. He was let go, though, never arrested, and that was why he was not on any type of watch list. Again, this evening, we're finding out even if he wasn't, it would not have prevented him from buying those guns. Also happening tonight, we're finding out a little bit more about Mateen, as in he was a security guard at PGA Village in Port St. Lucie and employed by the company G4S. Now, if that sounds familiar to you, our I-team has done several investigations over there with the troubles within that company. They say he passed background checks in 2007 and 2013, but tonight we're hearing from people who say they knew Mateen very well. They say he was eager to greet them, friendly and outspoken until this last week. Another young lady telling us her parents lived in the PGA Village, so she saw Mateen nearly every day for the last 2 years. She saw him Friday, said he was acting a little bit out of character, but she didn't think anything of it. She assumed he was just going through something, but never could have imagined seeing his face in the news.
And I saw his picture, and I was like, I dropped my phone. I was like,
she startled me out of a nap.
I startled her out of a nap because I'm like, this is Omar. He didn't open the door. He just let me in. It was no way from the inside, and I was like, oh, he must be going through something.
Kennedy also telling us Mateen had Marine stickers on his car, a sticker that read Semper Fi. She didn't know if he was a Marine, but said he seemed to be very patriotic, even saluted her when he saw her on Memorial Day. Now remember, he's a U.S.-born citizen. He did have family members who were from other parts of the world, but he was definitely born here in the U.S. That's information the FBI was giving us earlier. Now remember, you can follow all of this online and on air. Download our free mobile app right now. All you have to do is search ABC Action News. It's on Android as well as Apple devices. And as soon as we get more information, we will, of course, push that out to you. But again, here in Orlando, 50 people dead, at least 53 hospitalized after the mass shooting at a nightclub last night. For now, we will send it back in to Jamison and Wendy.
Laura, thank you. Back here, thousands gathering across the Bay.